Hello everybody, thank you Daniel for organizing and everyone in the team. Great to be back here. I'm going to give a little update on our PyJAMaz client and then I'm going to do a bit of a different presentation to tell a bit of a story from a bird's eye view. This is my team. My team is called PyJAMaz Technologies. Most of us are here. A new addition to the team. We've been doing this for 11 months now, so we're quite a way in, and we made quite some progress. So this is a bit more about the team. We're based in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. We've been working together for a very long time, kind of university best friends. We all have a previous career as Web2 entrepreneurs up until 2015, and we came across Ethereum, dove into that. We were very early with Polkadot. We founded Polkascan, the first open source block explorer for the ecosystem, and that resulted in a number of Python libraries for Substrate and Polkadot. And we've been maintaining these ever since. Nowadays, if you do anything with Python and Substrate or Polkadot, you'll probably be using our libraries. In 2024, a new wave of energy was created by the Grey Paper, and we founded PyJAMaz Technologies, and we are fully committed to seeing that to the end. PyJAMaz is our Python and Gem implementation from A to Z, hence the name, and it creates some nice images. Yes, so this is our single slide with a bit of an update. It's very condensed, and I'll go through it a bit. When Grey Paper reached 0.62, we reached milestone 1 conformity, and since then we're keeping up with all the changes. So a bit of maintenance mode on that end. Over time, in the past 11 months, we built a number of features. Some are for milestone 1, some are for milestone 2 already. I will briefly go through them. A block importer. We can import a chain and we can import traces. The difference is that with a trace you get a pre-state, a state change, and a post-state, so it can easily be compared. We have a command line interface. Well, don't have to explain that. Dockerization for a single node, and we can run a testnet with that. If we're talking about a testnet, we can run different sizes of testnets from tiny, medium, larger setups. We can run the testnets in modes. And I want to thank Surab of Telephone Ocean for a lot of thinking that went into that back in Bangkok. That was really helpful. So we have the fallback mode, the setfall mode, the assurances mode, the ordered accumulation mode, and these, broaden the functionality you use in your network. We implemented the Gem improvement proposal number 1, host function 100 to do the inspection of what's happening in these inner host functions. We developed a number of debugging features. Solo mode is a mode that allowed us to do to kind of spoof the system a bit with signatures that you can have Alice sign on behalf of the other nodes, so you can do some inspection from a single node perspective. We have a culprit mode which allows the nodes to fire lots of invalid blocks or do illegal things and see how the network deals with that. A trace dump, which allows you to dump everything so you can import it later on and inspect it. We implemented a minimum viable product of the Gem network protocol, the simplified version, and with the basic messages to catch up where a chain in a network is and to download the blocks and to exchange the several messages, I believe, and a number of the other message types are still work in progress, and we'll deal with that as we go along with milestone 2. We implemented an MVP for the RPC, which allows integration with lots of interesting tools that exist in the ecosystem, like GemTop. GemTop is, top is for Linux, that's GemTop for a Gem computer, and that works, well, it works a bit, sometimes. We have a work package builder. It fires work packages for the network to process. It already goes into milestone 2 a bit, and we have an MVP for telemetry. With Grafana and Prometheus, it will probably be replaced by something the community is using. So, as for roadmap and strategy, our intention is to fully implement gray paper, the explicit stuff and the implicit stuff, because it's the only way you can wrap your head around it. So our implementation is a Python implementation. Won't be the most performant implementation, but there's lots of things happening in the Python ecosystem, fed by machine learning, AI. So there are lots of interesting angles we can approach that to maximize performance from Python-esque, Python-related languages, and see where we get with the performance milestones. But an obvious product market fit for our Python client would be a light client path, the integration for the Python ecosystem with Gem and Polkadot, and aligns well with all the libraries we've built so far, which are more on the Polkadot Hub side. As for milestone 2, we have a MVP for 065, so we can import work packages, execute them, have them accumulated, but it's really with naive strategies for honest behavior, and it will take some time to wrap that up. So all these features, section 15 through 17, it's work in progress, and we hope to get a long way in the next 2 months. So I want to take another 10 minutes to touch on a different subject called digital sovereignty. It's a bit of a bird-eye view to talk about something else. We're all in our technology bubble, and I want to step out of that for a bit. So, Gem aims to provide a global scale, coherent and unstoppable supercomputer, but what does that really mean? And I think as developers, we are all in the technical trenches, and it's good to take a step out and look at what are we building and what are we building it for. So this is a nice analogy. I think we're building this great car, and we're innovators, engineers and designers, and we're really busy with all the features. How fast does it go? What performance does it have? What's the cost of running it? But there are second and third order effects, like the car was designed 100 years ago, but it has changed society, it has changed industry. A highway system was created due to the car. Urbanization, people moved out of the city, the oil and gas industry was formed for the energy it needed. You can even have your friends and family live 500 kilometers apart, and you can still have healthy relations with them. So these are these second and third order effects, and I think it's good for this group to also think about these type of changes that this technology will bring. So these are just different examples. I've been told by some history books that the facts ended or took care of the collapse of the USSR because information could not be controlled anymore, or we all know how the social media influences elections, or how big tech is actually making a cultural rift between Europe and the US. So what are these consequences, second and third order effects of JAM and Polkadot? And we see it in the news all the time. We talk about digital sovereignty. Well, I don't know if I have to explain it, but it's really political. So one lens that helps me to think about these things is Benjamin Bratton. He's an American philosopher, not my favorite philosopher, but yeah, he has written a great book. It's called The Stack, and that really goes into how technology nowadays is really a what do you call it? A mega structure, a global scale system that is really geopolitical in nature. So I want to talk a little bit about stacks and the second order effects of Polkadot and JAM. A stack is simply a collection of layers of abstractions of a system. They work together to create an overall functionality, and you work and you think in a particular stack, and you don't necessarily have to know stuff about the other stacks. Creates a separation of concerns. You can consider all these other layers black boxes. You don't have to know the nitty-gritty about these layers. Emergence is an important factor here. So, as engineers, we all know about stacks. If you are a bachelor student in engineering in IT, then you know the OC model or a simple computer stack model of hardware operating system application and users. So stacks are all around us. Even in the Polkadot ecosystem, we already talk about stacks. And Sean Tabrizi, he introduced in Bangkok in 2024 a nice new way to think about Polkadot by making a distinction between the Polkadot cloud and the Polkadot hub. So it's a matter of definition. It's not written in stone what Polkadot cloud and what Polkadot hub is. But I think we can consider JAM and the services and the operating systems we run on JAM as part of Polkadot Cloud, and all the apps, identity registers, distributed autonomous organizations data and sort of stuff on the Polkadot hub. But there are other layers, interfaces, users, and so on. So Benjamin Bratton, his stack, it offers a lens through which we can understand the modern world as a technological system. He creates a number of layers that collectively form a global system, and a battle is basically happening on each of these layers. And I'll give an example. This is a bit of a simplified model to map it more to the computer model I just showed, and it helps us think about Bratton's stack in terms of the Polkadot layers that were identified by Sean. But it helps us think about power, governance, geopolitics, and sovereignty. And I'll give an example about that. Bratton's more recent work talks about hemispherical stacks. And basically these stacks reflect the different values that we see in the world. The US stack, for example, it is very different from the Chinese stack. If you look at the applications you use nowadays, like the AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, or the services that run on top of these systems. They are basically in the US stack, and the Chinese stack has different cloud services and different applications. And you're either in one of these stacks or in the other of these stacks. And they're not very much inclusive if you look at the cloud layer, for example. But at the user layer, they are inclusive because you can use the Alibaba website, for example, if you're in a Western country. So more recently, Europe has kind of felt uncomfortable with being so dependent on a US stack, for example. You have the Dutch government using Microsoft or Google or AWS cloud services and Microsoft mail services for all their government stuff. It might not be the smartest thing you would want strategically as a Dutch government. So this, let me go to the next slide. So what Polkadot does is to create this global scale, coherent, unstoppable supercomputer. And this cloud emerges, which is very different in nature than all these other clouds we have. So an AWS cloud or a Microsoft Azure cloud is grounded by a US company with US shareholders based in a US jurisdiction. The Polkadot cloud detaches from this jurisdiction. It is still grounded in Earth by its validators, but no single validator is important enough for it to influence the functioning or the outcome of the cloud. So Gavin talks about his trilemma, his blockchain trilemma of size, coherence, and resilience. I think that that detachment from the Earth layer is really what resilience is about. That cannot be an interference by a company or a government to interfere with the functioning of this new cloud. And what PyJAMaz actually created is a breakthrough that allows for global scale use cases with a single coherent execution environment, orders of magnitude higher than previous generations of technology. So what I want to have a discussion about, and not necessarily now, but in the time following this meetup, is what makes PyJAMaz and Polkadot different than these hemispherical stacks, and perhaps is it a superset of a hemispherical stack, and what does it mean if the Polkadot cloud is a superset of these hemispherical stacks? What does that tell us about the values we need to have? How can Polkadot and PyJAMaz be inclusive for all these other stacks, for example? And what can we build on this Polkadot and PyJAMaz stack that cannot be built, inherently cannot be built on hemispherical stacks? So, and I'm going to wrap up with digital sovereignty. If we look in the all the European initiatives and all the initiatives that were in the headlines on one of the first sheets, digital sovereignty was really defined as each region, each hemisphere wanting control over its cloud data and infrastructure. And that's what all these European projects are about. But this new paradigm, perhaps it allows for a new way of thinking about digital sovereignty. A cloud that provides guarantees that it cannot be manipulated by single interest, and applications that give its users guarantees about the execution. So this is a band-aid solution. It doesn't solve a problem. This new paradigm actually solves a problem. And I think we should all be talking about that. So what are the takeaways? I think sovereignty is commoditized by GEM. Whether you're a government, whether you're a company, or whether you're an individual, you have access to this digital sovereignty. That's a game changer. Automation and governance, it is a way of having governance which is not grounded in any particular jurisdiction. It is free from the earth layer. It is a new layer of governance, perhaps a governance that maps to a planetary design. There's a governance from the planetary perspective rather than a jurisdictional perspective. And it puts a stress on what GEM is, or what GEM can be on one end, what Polkadot can be on one end, and the hemispherical power struggle that's happening. And it will be interesting to see how that unfolds. So this is my presentation, and I want to thank you very much. Anyone? Boy.
Do you think there's a chance that governments, let's say governments, will ban GEM because of these reasons? Certain governments.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but how would you, maybe you cannot ban it, that's the idea, or it cannot be banned everywhere, but it could be, sure, I don't know. Does anyone have an opinion about it? Arif?
Well, I can also imagine it probably will be banned, but there's also something like geopolitical arbitrage. For every country that bans it, there will be more reasons to accept it elsewhere. So there will be also some kind of arbitrage going on that level.
But then you're back to the hemispherical warfare, in the sense of ban servers based on where they're geolocated, and then you're back to then we're depending on the American, the Chinese, and the Europeans within their own servers. Comes down to where the energy is going to come from, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't have answers, but these are very interesting questions. We should be talking about these things going forward, beyond our technical discussions, and these are important as well, of course. So, can I take another remark or question?
I'd like to take the stage with Emiel. No, stay here. Because I think he brought a very important question, and we are very, as you said, deep into the technical aspects of GEM, that sometimes we forget about why we are building GEM in the end. And these kinds of conversations is something that is very important to have, and this is the reason why we're here, why we met together. We are creating a community, we are gathering in a physical place because we need to connect as human beings and think about these very challenging aspects of technology adoption and move forward. So the GEM is not, of course, the technology is what connects us, but there's much more. There's community, there is marketing, there is education, a lot of other aspects of the GEM protocol that we need to start working on. And the reason we created this event, and this is, by the way, is the first one actually we had other events. We started to meet, we started to connect. The first one was here, a meetup here in Lisbon, and then we've met in Bangkok. And then this is the first, let's say, more official and more well organized, or whatever, minimally organized. It's just the first, it's just the beginning. Probably next year we're gonna have jam experience in whatever place we might like, with 300, maybe 500 people, and then there's gonna be more people that will come. When jam is working and we have more services, service builders starting to look for jam for solutions in the real world, and we're just starting. So I'd like to add this because you brought this thing that is very important. And we are going to have the Jam Toaster visit, and we're going to have a gathering there. And there's going to be plenty of beers and snacks and pizzas where we can talk about these things, you know.